So the event is out, and you can get your guaranteed exclusive here from the event. It's at the third event here, Pumpkin Jack. There's 8 rewards, and at the very end, you can get a guaranteed legendary Phantom Dragon Eye, which will allow you to exclusive a legendary hero. So this is decently hard. Maybe not everyone's going to get this. It's not like a layup here. You do have to have a decently built team, in my opinion, for this. I think I'm overgeared for it, so I just autoed it. But for most people, it's not crazy difficult, but it's not a walk in the park, I should say. With that being said, if you're strong enough to be able to get this, I'm going to be talking about the top 10 heroes that I think are the best heroes in a vacuum to exclusive one. And it's impossible for me to recommend which one specifically for you to exclusive. It would take a full account breakdown to ever be able to do something like that. But I just want to talk about the ones in a vacuum that are actually really good, that change a character from good to amazing, like really level up the character here. There's some exclusives that are kind of meh. There's some really good characters that are still good, but don't necessarily need their exclusive. But then there's some characters that are good that also, go to the moon with them. So let's talk about these. I looked through all these guys and then highlighted the ones that I think are my favorites here. And then there's some honorable mentions that I'll mention at the end here pretty quickly. So first one, I think this is by far and away the best one. It's going to be Hizonia. Already one of the best, if not the best PvE characters in the entire game. But his exclusive one is actually insane. So what it does is normally deals 200% attack damage to all enemies, and then with a 100% chance when booked to inflict 1 layer of HP burning to all enemies, which is just crazy. But what he ends up doing is that on his exclusive one, it additionally triggers HP burning to deal damage once. So it just pops it immediately. So he becomes this massive burst character. And if you pair him with other HP burners, and it's so much damage. So this is by far, in my opinion, the priority one to have. If you already have this guy, you're already winning. He's already one of the best characters in the game. And then you get that exclusive that makes him even better. It's so good for PvE content, for clearing dungeons, like the Waves 2 dungeons. You use it in PvP. Like everywhere you use this guy, you're going to like that exclusive, and it really takes him to the next level. This really makes Nasil such a good character here. You see him a ton in PvP, but I bet he'd be great in PvE as well. But his exclusive here really takes him up a notch. And I feel like he would never be played in Arena, for example, in like the high leaderboards as much as he is without this. So normally, his ultimate is Nasil activates Giant Ice Shield, increasing self-max HP cap by 50%. This effect is reduced by 20% every turn. When Giant Ice Shield is in effect, Nasil is immune to all control effects and acts one more turn. Then the skill is changed to Shield Support. Shield Support, Nasil targets one ally and grants ally protection to them. If this ally does not have ally protection, then 40% of the damage taken by them will be taken by Nasil instead. Nasil can protect up to 2 allies at the same time, restores the target's HP by 20% of the max HP if the ally has ally protection or the ally is Nasil himself. So what's cool about this is the exclusive one. So that was a lot. And if you don't understand it, I get it. It's just a really dense move and a really good move here for him to be able to help support his team. But what his exclusive one does is Nasil casts a Giant Ice Shield immediately at the beginning of each wave. So this is fantastic for PvE, but mainly PvP because it just ignores any speed requirements. He just goes. So Nasil casts Giant Ice Shield immediately at the beginning of each wave. He's immune to this death when taking fatal damage. Meanwhile, restores his HP by 15% of max HP. This effect only takes effect up to once per wave. And then when he does this move, he gets to act one more time. So then you can do something like this. Like so his A2. Or his A1, whatever you want to do. But this is such a great E1 that really takes him up a notch to an amazing character. Megan here. So this is a great character, great damage dealer. But the exclusive, I think, is going to really take her up a notch to one of the best guild boss damage dealers in the entire game. So her ultimate here already is awesome, where Megan increases her crit rate by 50% for 2 turns, then deals 600% attack damage or 720% nuke when booked to a single enemy with an additional 30% piercing rate. So, and it ignores immortal and damage immunity, which is fantastic for other parts of content in this game. But the exclusive one here, if I'm reading this right, reduces the cooldown of piercing spear by 1 turn when landing a crit. So if that just means that landing a crit with this, and only this ability reduces it, not as good as I think. But if it means that every time she crits, it reduces the cooldown here, then you can get her attacking out a turn, and then she becomes like easily the best character for guild boss. For damage wise, like one of, if not the best, maybe knocking out DPS HP burners, but just think about how much damage this would be if you can get an attack up on her, if you can get a defense down, if you can get her to attack out a turn with Catherine, for example, or Ben Austin, calling her in. So she's constantly critting. That means she's always going to be using this move over and over and over again, which is one of the hardest hitting moves in the entire game on an almost nothing cooldown. So this is actually incredible. And then since she's guaranteed to crit, you can just build her with 50% crit rate, have a ton of crit damage on her. She would just be an absolute monster if it's working as I think it would, where every time she crits, she gets this cooldown reduction. If not, not nearly as good, but still an amazing ability here. I can't test it. I don't have this character. That looks actually incredible. Another massive change with an E1, I think, is going to be Serena here. So how her passive works here is when an ally launches a direct attack, Serena gains a layer of feather. If the feather reaches 6 layers, Sacred Feather evolves. If it reaches 12, it evolves. And then if it reaches 18 layers, it evolves. And it changes the abilities. And then also when you have her booked, it takes fewer for her to go. But with her exclusive, Serena gains one more action turn every time she evolves. So if you play your turn meter right with your team and have them go in the correct orders here, you can be giving her multiple turns, which is going to allow her to nuke more often, and she's going to just be able to go more and do more damage. So this is just an objectively really good ability here for this character. And I think anytime you see more action turns on a character, it's really going to change them quite a bit, in my opinion. So I think this is a great exclusive for Serena here. Already a good character, just makes her better. This character, guaranteed character, you get her after 14 days of playing this game. Amazing nuker. You see her a lot at the top of Arena. She was good in the Dragon Cliff before they made it super easy. So for the most part, if you're looking for an AoE nuker, there's a lot of content in this game where you're going to want an AoE nuker, but you really want to have her exclusive because she's kind of an okay character without exclusives, but she's amazing with it. And so how she works is she has this ultimate here where it deals 3 stages of 100% attack damage to all enemies and gains 3 layers of blade. When she's exclusive 1 though, she gets it attacks 4 times, so it does even more damage and now grants 1 more layer of blade. When she has 4 layers of blade on her passive, she gets to do 200% damage to all enemies when she's fully booked here. So you're looking at 130% attack when booked times 4, and you get another 200% attack damage there. So a massive nuke, one of the hardest hitting nukes in the game here. So fantastic for PvP, but you absolutely need her exclusive to be able to do that combo in 1 turn. So that pretty much, that's one of the biggest make or break exclusives in my opinion. If you're going to be investing in her, you really need that exclusive. So that's going to be one of your top choices in my opinion. So next character is going to be Ascendo. Great character for a campaign. A lot of people talk about clearing campaign, especially chapter 11 with her to make sure they don't heal. Also amazing character in PvP, but her exclusive is really good. So what it does is on her passive here, increases the self-turn meter by 30% at the beginning of each wave. If you've ever used space, you just know how good that is to be able to make sure you're going first. It's a really big deal there. And it, especially for a character like her, that you're trying to silence everyone before they go. So you really want to have speed on her. And in PvP, it's obviously going to be a gear check, but you really need to have the exclusive. And if you're facing an Ascendo with no exclusive, it's going to be super easy for you to beat that Ascendo there. So it's pretty much if you're going to be taking this character in, you go Ascendo via Ascendo. If you don't have that exclusive, you're going to get outsped. You're going to get silenced first. It's going to be a bad time. So really good exclusive there if you're considering using that character. Okay, so the next exclusive is going to be Guana. And she's a great character and brings a lot of utility. I feel like she can feel a little underwhelming as a support character because first of all, she's legendary. And there's really good ones in like Liz, for example, or Maya. But I think she definitely deserves the classification of legendary only if you exclusive her because she's doing all these things, but the big staples are big shield and being able to remove layers of dot debuff. So Maya prevents them, Liz cleanses them, whereas she did not cleanse them until you exclusive her, but then she does it better than Liz, but you need to have her exclusive here. So the big thing on her ult is it changes it to now also cleanses 5 layers of dot debuffs from all allies. That's a massive change for her because she's providing so much to the team, but the big things that most people care about are those other things. So restores HP by 10% of all allies, increases their turn meters by 20%. Meanwhile, increases all allies attack by 20% for 2 turns. The restoration effect is increased by 40% if the target's HP is no more than 50%. So she's like a space / Liz combined, and does the Liz portion almost a little better because she's removing 5 layers of debuffs there. She doesn't bring the shield there, so there's definitely a reason why you'd want to use Liz. But great character here. It's just she needs to have that exclusive to really excel, in my opinion. But also at the same time, it's kind of feels bad to use an exclusive on a support like this. But if that's where your account's at, I think this is a massive change that would really change her to an amazing character, in my opinion. Okay, so those were the biggest game changers, in my opinion. Now, these are still good characters, but because they're such a good character, let's just make this good character even a little better. And Malia here is one of those where all of her exclusive affect her passive with, or not her passive, her ultimate with Valkyrie. Whereas the exclusive is Valkyrie status lasts for 1 more turn. Valkyrie is amazing, and giving her that ability to be able to guarantee counterattack, and when she counterattacks, she gives HP burn on there for an extra turn there is really good. It's just not that exciting compared to the other ones. She's already an amazing character, already one of the best characters in the game. This just makes her a little bit better. I feel like her exclusive 2 really changes her a ton, and then her exclusive 3 is also really good too. But that exclusive 1, still very solid. And if you have Malia, you probably build Malia, and you might as well do it. This is what I did with my first one that I got from chapter 34, I believe it is. I immediately put it on her. And I might end up just putting the second one on her as well, of the guaranteed ones. But I'm debating on some other ones. Next one is going to be 2 here. Back in the Sword Harbor Guards, we have Zia here. She's an amazing character. I think she kind of has that Malia syndrome where the exclusive 1 is okay, but the exclusive 2 and 3 are really good. And she's already a good character, so you could kind of want to justify putting it on her, even though it doesn't really change the character too much. So exclusive 1 additionally increases piercing rate by 30%, and Zia gains immunity to control effects while the skill is in effect. Very good. I'm considering doing this one as well. She's a great damage dealer. It's just when you see the exclusive 2 where it deals 50% of the damage dealt by this skill to all enemies, so she's kind of doing some AoE there, even though it's not much because it's only the 200% damage. It's 50% of the 200% damage she's doing every time she takes an action. And then exclusive 3 is incredible, but this is just not realistic for most people. Resets the cooldown and increases self-turn meter by 50% when it inflicts a kill. Zia acts 1 more turn if she is under the concentration increase status at this time. So very good exclusives 2 and 3. But also this is the 30% piercing rate on this ability here. She already does a ton of damage. The piercing rate on there would be insane. She's going to hit like an absolute truck. So it might even be worth it to do that. So especially when paired with Catherine, she's attacking with her auto attack so often. And when if she goes before Catherine, she does her A2 here. And then she's going to have the 40% crit rate, the 60% crit damage, and the 30% piercing rate for multiple attacks because she's going to be counterattacking. And then her auto attack is you're giving the boost to her auto attack. Then when she goes again, she uses it, but has it on her ultimate there. So she gets to use it a ton more often than normal. And depending on how many times she got attacked in between, she's using it on every single one of those. So currently in Faction Abyss, she's using the A2 way more than she normally would with counterattack. So it's pretty crazy and would be an actual pretty big change there going forward if you add another 30% piercing to that. So very good E1. Like the more I talk about it, the more I'm kind of selling myself on it, in my opinion. Another E1 here is going to be Yoko's. I think this is fantastic, specifically if you switch her to this version of it. So it normally 520% attack damage to a single enemy. This goes a 40% more crit rate and 60% more crit damage. And then when you have her exclusive 1, additionally reduces the target's turn meter by 50%. And then if it kills the target, releases the skill to a random enemy again. This damage equals 70%. So she pops someone, and then she can almost kill someone else. Okay, so those are my main ones that I would consider doing. And then here's some honorable mentions that are up there that I'm kind of considering as well that I think would be good. Depending on which characters you have, I'm just going to throw some out there that I think are solid. So Hoff here, if you have this guy, his E1 makes it to where it's guaranteed. So he has this hunting passive that when it's a buff on the enemy, and then whoever kills that person gains the hunting passive here and heals them. But what's cool about the E1 here is that it inflicts hunting on the enemy with the highest attack. So you get to actually use it and target it to the enemy that you want to kill, because the person with the highest attack, usually in PvE environments, is going to be the one you want to kill. And then it increases all allies' attack by 40% for 2 turns. Definitely don't underestimate 40% attack boost, because that's insane. And then, so you're essentially going to be in PvE always having a 40% attack boost, because it moves to the next target. So you kill one, everyone gets 40% attack boost. You kill the other 40% attack boost, and you get the healing from it. So this is actually pretty crazy in my opinion. And I don't know how good Hoff is normally, but just this passive in a vacuum here, pretty insane. Yeah, so it'd be cool to try him and see exactly how good he is. Another one, Greta here changes it to 60% defense down before she removes all buffs and does this big nuke. Think that's pretty good. Nothing. I want to kind of go through these quickly here because there's a lot of good E1s out there. Walter becomes immune to poison. I think that's pretty interesting. Oh, Slactos is pretty good, where his E1 normally deals 160% attack damage to all enemies and removes their attribute buffs, but his exclusive one removes all targets buffs before attacking. So all buffs, AoE, and then does a pretty good AoE damage nuke there after considering that you just stripped them of all of their buffs. So very good. This is his real damaging ability, but you need him exclusive 3 to be able to do really good damage, like talking like Margarita level of damage here. But that's like super whale territory because you need exclusive 3. Cool thing is that he's an AoE character on a force mark, so he's very consistent damage, so you can really rely on it. You do need him pretty exclusive for that. His exclusive 1 would be a nice utility thing for like Tower of Mark, for example, and probably some other PvE modes. I think Elena's is actually pretty good here. I probably wouldn't use it, but it does change the ability to something actually really good. So currently just removes all their buffs, which is fantastic. But then also has a 70% chance to reduce enemy speed by 40% for 2 turns. Actually changes the ability quite a bit. Not sure if it's actually worth doing that, but because the ability is already pretty good as is. This right here just removes all their buffs. Very simple, good ability. She has a good passive and decent healing, but I do think it's an AoE 70% down like that, actually pretty sick. Here in Hizaro is a fantastic DPS for clan boss. And his E1 here, it's additionally triggered the target's bleed by 1 time up to 6 layers. So that's pretty insane. And it's like Hazonia's HP burn, but for bleed. And I think he would be a fantastic character for the guild boss here as a single target damage dealer. This is something that probably I definitely want to test this to see just how good he is comparatively, because I've been interested in guild boss a lot more recently, and it'd be kind of cool to see what some of the better damage dealers are and really try them out. And he's one I happen to have pulled, but I don't think I'm going to actually exclusive him, but I think that would actually be a pretty big damage boost for him, because he's one of the few characters that actually increases the damage to bleeds and increases his bleed damage by 8%. And then his E3 is actually pretty nuts too, where so he inflicts blade mark on the target, which makes the target take 20% more direct damage dealt by Hizaro and 15% more bleed damage, which is pretty nuts. So he's definitely a very niche character for one part of the content in this game, but that's a pretty big change, and I bet it would make a massive difference in his damage. And then one that I'm like legitimately considering here is Savelle's E1, because she's a great character, but her E1 here really changes her. So grants self control immunity for 2 turns. It increases all allies attack by 40% for 2 turns. And then the exclusive 1 here is extends the duration of control immunity to 3 turns, and Seville acts 1 extra turn after casting it. So she's going to be able to, first thing you'd probably want to do is ult here, or do this, and then ult, and then it's going to allow her to reduce this cooldown. So I'm debating on how I want to do it. Do I want to ult first, use this to be able to like get this off cooldown a little quicker, Or do I want to do this to just every time to guarantee that she just hits like an absolute truck on her ultimate? So, but on a 2-turn cooldown here, essentially, because it's normally you book it down to 3, then she'll use this and then go again. So now it's on a 2-turn cooldown there, and then giving everyone else 40% attack, and she's giving everyone the 30% defense down. I think she's going to be one of the staples of Clan Boss going forward. I think she's an amazing character. You don't have to build crit on her because she's guaranteed crits on the second part of her A1 and always crits on her ultimate here. So a very interesting character, in her E1 I think really makes her busted. So that's going to be it for my list on exclusives here. Let me know in the comments below which ones you would choose, if there's any others I missed. Also, I do want to say I got inspiration for this from Veilshot here. He just posted this video saying best exclusives, very similar topic. I refused to watch his take on it first because I wanted to give my thoughts and then figured I would send you guys over. And if you guys want to see a different opinion on this, be sure to check out his video, and I'm sure it's great. I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to go watch it now because I'm curious on how my thoughts differ from his. And with that, guys, I'm out of here. Peace.